Alicia, hey.
Hey, Jared.
Welcome to Vibrations and Manifestations, everyone. And so, like we do with all of these deep dives, we're going to try to answer a couple of key questions for you.
Okay.
First, what exactly are the Kybalion and the 7 Hermetic Principles?
Right.
And then, how can understanding and applying these laws
Yeah.
really genuinely enhance your life and your experiences and
Yeah.
your ability to shape your own reality?
Exactly.
A big question.
Yeah.
And one that I think, so many people are asking right now. We're seeing a lot of interest around this topic. And I think for good reason, because we've gathered a lot of really interesting perspectives today on everything from ancient wisdom to, modern experiences that all point to this really incredible potential that we have as humans when we grasp these fundamental principles, these laws of the universe that really govern reality.
Yeah, and at the core of this exploration, we have the Kybalion and its 7 Hermetic Principles.
Yes.
We're going to unpack each of these, and we'll see how they weave together with this concept of the law of attraction.
Yes.
It's going to be a journey, I think, that offers some real insights. And I think just to kind of open our minds, let's consider this thought as an invitation to this exploration. The lips of wisdom are closed except to the ears of understanding.
That's beautifully said. So let's start by establishing our foundation.
Okay.
The Kybalion itself.
Okay. The Kybalion is a really fascinating text.
Yeah.
It appeared in 1908
Okay.
and was attributed to this mysterious group called the Three Initiates.
Okay.
And while their true identities are still a little bit veiled,
Right.
there's some pretty strong evidence to suggest that it's connected to William Walker Atkinson,
Interesting.
who was a real pioneer in the early New Thought movement.
Okay, so this book is pretty significant then.
Yeah, it's considered like a cornerstone in modern occult philosophy.
Gotcha. So now, to really understand the Kybalion, we need to understand its connection to Hermeticism. Can you tell us a bit more about that? Because it feels like we're reaching back into this, very old well of knowledge.
Absolutely. Hermeticism is this ancient philosophical and spiritual tradition that traces its origins to Hermes Trismegistus.
Right.
And this figure is a fascinating combination himself.
Yeah.
He's a mythical fusion of the Egyptian god Thoth,
Wow.
who was associated with wisdom and writing, and the Greek god Hermes, the messenger deity. So you can see this rich lineage of understanding that's embedded within this tradition.
It's like we're tapping into this ancient stream of wisdom, as you said. And the purpose of the Kybalion was really to take these age-old Hermetic ideas and make them relevant to contemporary seekers.
Yeah.
Who are looking for spiritual insight in modern times to make these timeless truths relevant to our lives today.
Exactly. And perhaps the most fundamental of these truths is expressed in this really core tenet of the Kybalion. The all is mind, the universe is mental.
Okay, so let's unpack that.
Oh.
That's the bedrock upon which all the other principles are built. So what's the immediate takeaway there for you and me listening to this?
Well, at its core, it suggests that consciousness is the very essence of reality.
Yeah.
Everything that exists, the entire universe, originates from this universal mental source, often referred to as the all.
The all.
Right. So think of it this way. Before anything takes physical form, it first exists as an idea, a thought,
Wow.
within this universal mind.
Okay.
Consequently, our own minds, our own consciousness, play a powerful role in shaping our individual realities.
Nice.
Because we are, in essence, a part of this. The immediate insight is that our thoughts aren't just passive, things that are happening in our heads.
Right.
They are the very building blocks of our experience.
So our thoughts aren't just these random neural firings that are happening. They actually possess this creative force.
That's the implication. It suggests that your thoughts
Yeah.
have a real power to
Real.
shape the reality that you experience.
That's huge.
It is.
So that ties into the idea of manifestation then.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like our thoughts are the seeds of what we see around us.
Precisely. And think about visualization practices.
Okay.
If the universe is fundamentally mental,
Yeah.
then our focused thoughts and mental images act almost like blueprints,
Right.
guiding the manifestation process.
That makes sense.
And we see this with Amelia.
Okay.
Early on in her journey, she realized she had all these negative thought patterns,
Yeah.
and she made a conscious decision to replace the thought, I'm stuck, with I'm choosing something better.
Wow.
And alongside that, she started journaling these detailed visualizations of the life she really wanted.
So she was really trying to change her thoughts
Yes.
and manifest something different.
Exactly.
And I know Marcus also had a realization related to this principle.
He did.
Tell me about that.
Through mindfulness practices, he began to really observe his thoughts.
Okay.
And realized that he was constantly focused on potential failures and limitations.
Yeah.
His core affirmation became, my reality is a reflection of my dominant thought.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's that crucial first step of recognizing the power of your own mind.
So it sounds like by consciously directing our thoughts,
Yes.
we're really engaging with this principle of mentalism
Absolutely.
to influence and shape our reality.
Yes.
Okay, so what's the next principle that builds on this?
Next, we have the principle of correspondence, which is this powerful statement. As above, so below, as below, so above.
I love that quote.
So profound.
It's so poetic.
Yeah.
But what are the practical implications of it?
Well, think about it in terms of interconnectedness.
Okay.
This principle suggests there's this fundamental mirroring that happens between different planes of existence.
Okay.
The physical, the mental, the spiritual.
Yeah.
It implies that the microcosm, the smallest parts, reflects the macrocosm, the grandest scale, and vice versa.
Interesting.
Your inner world, your thoughts, your feelings, your beliefs, they're all reflected in your outer circumstances. It's almost like a holographic view of reality where the same fundamental patterns are echoed across all levels of existence.
So if my outer life feels chaotic, could that be a reflection of my inner turmoil?
That's exactly the insight that this principle offers.
Wow.
And Amelia experienced this directly.
Oh, really?
She realized that the physical clutter and disorganization in her apartment were mirroring her own inner state of confusion and anxiety.
So what did she do?
Well, she started physically decluttering her space and establishing a more peaceful morning routine. And she actually noticed a shift in her internal state.
Really?
Her anxiety started to lessen as her external environment became more harmonious.
That's amazing.
It is.
And I think Marcus's story with his music studio is a good example of this, too.
Yes.
Right.
The act of him clearing out the physical clutter from his studio, the space where his creative passion had once thrived, symbolized his clearing away the emotional and mental neglect he had shown to his music.
So as he tidied his environment,
Yeah.
his creative energy also started to come back.
Exactly.
That's so cool.
It's powerful.
Okay, so this principle is saying that we can really view our external reality as feedback
Yes.
about our internal state.
It's a mirror.
What's the third principle?
The third principle is the principle of vibration,
Okay.
which states, nothing rests. Everything moves. Everything vibrates.
So this one really aligns with like modern science.
It does.
Everything is energy in motion.
Right. This principle says that everything from the densest physical matter to the most subtle thought form is in a constant state of motion, vibrating at different frequencies.
Yeah.
And the differences in how things manifest in our reality are simply due to these varying rates of vibration.
So then a thought has a vibration.
Yes.
An emotion has a vibration.
Yeah.
A physical object.
Yes.
It's all energy in motion.
It is.
That's where we get the idea of raising your vibration. To attract something,
Yes.
you need to be on a frequency that resonates with it.
And Amelia really connected with this one.
Okay.
Instead of focusing on lack and limitation, she chose to do things that elevated her energy, like dancing to uplifting music and affirming abundance. And remarkably, her mood shifted.
Wow.
And she even received a financial bonus.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was pretty amazing.
So she really changed her vibration.
Yes.
And attracted something different.
Uh-huh.
That's so cool.
And Marcus also made some conscious choices about his energy.
What did he do?
He became much more mindful of his thoughts,
Okay.
the music he listened to, and the people he spent time with.
Okay.
He was very intentional about choosing influences that lifted him up.
That makes sense.
And his daily walks in nature became a way for him to reset his vibration.
So they both became very aware of their energetic state.
Yes.
And really tried to cultivate positive vibrations
That's the key.
in order to align themselves with more positive outcomes.
Absolutely.
So what's the fourth principle?
The fourth is the principle of polarity.
Okay.
With the quote, everything is dual, everything has poles, everything has its pair of opposites.
So this one speaks to the duality that we see in the world.
Yes.
These contrasting forces that are always at play.
It reveals that these seemingly contradictory concepts like hot and cold, light and dark,
Right.
good and bad, are actually just different degrees or expressions of the same fundamental thing.
Wow.
They exist on a continuum
Okay.
with two opposing poles at either end.
Yeah.
The key insight here is that beneath this duality
Like,
lies a fundamental unity.
wow. So it's all connected.
It is.
And that also means that transformation is always possible.
Exactly.
We can shift our position on that spectrum.
Yes.
So even when we face something negative, there's always the potential for its opposite to emerge.
Right. Amelia had a great example of it. When she experienced a job rejection,
Yeah.
instead of just focusing on the disappointment,
Yeah.
she chose to reframe it
Okay.
as contrast.
Yeah.
A clear indicator of what she really wanted in her career.
Wow.
She allowed herself to feel both the disappointment and the hope without resisting either one.
That's such a good perspective.
It is.
And how about Marcus? What did he do?
Well, Marcus learned to accept his moments of self-doubt.
Okay.
He recognized them as simply one end of the spectrum of believing in himself.
Yeah.
He stopped judging himself so harshly.
That's great.
And instead found a way to transform that frustration into songwriting.
Oh, wow.
He turned the negative into creative fuel.
Wow. So this principle encourages us to recognize the full spectrum of experience and consciously choose where we focus our energy.
That's right.
Okay, so what's the next one?
The fifth is the principle of rhythm.
Okay.
Beautifully expressed in the quotes, everything flows out and in, everything has its tides,
Yeah.
and rhythm compensates.
I love that.
It's so reassuring.
It is.
So this principle highlights the cyclical nature of existence.
Okay.
Everything operates in rhythms with natural ebbs and flows, much like the tides of the ocean.
Yeah.
There are periods of growth and expansion followed by periods of rest and consolidation.
Okay.
The key is to embrace these cycles and adapt to change rather than resisting it.
And that second part of the quote, rhythm compensates.
Yes.
Is so powerful because it suggests that these cycles tend to balance out.
They do.
So when we're in a low period, it's not a permanent state.
No.
It's just part of the rhythm.
Exactly.
And an upswing will follow.
And Amelia learned to really trust these cycles.
Oh, boy.
When she felt her energy dip, she didn't panic.
Okay.
She allowed herself to rest and recharge, trusting that inspiration and energy would return.
That's great.
She surrendered to the natural timing of things.
And what about Marcus?
He cultivated perseverance during his low points. He realized that those lulls were a natural part of the process.
Yeah.
And trusted that his inspiration would eventually come back.
Yeah.
He didn't let temporary dips make him quit.
It's about finding that balance.
Yes.
Between putting in the effort and allowing things to unfold.
Exactly.
What's the sixth principle?
The sixth is the principle of cause and effect, stating every cause has its effect. Every effect has its cause.
So that's the idea that nothing happens randomly.
Exactly.
There's a reason for everything.
This principle emphasizes that for every action, there's a corresponding reaction.
Okay.
Nothing occurs without a reason.
Right.
And this is a really empowering idea.
Yeah.
It implies that you are the architect of your own reality.
Wow.
Your thoughts, your actions, your intentions are the causes that create the effects you experience.
That puts a lot of responsibility on us.
It does. And Amelia realized this.
What happened?
She started taking full ownership of her choices.
Okay.
Even the small ones. She shifted away from blaming external circumstances.
Okay.
And started asking herself, what kind of energy am I putting out into the world?
Wow.
By setting clear intentions and being mindful of her actions, she started to see much faster results.
Really?
It's about moving from feeling like a victim to being a creator.
Yeah.
And Marcus started taking action towards his music.
Okay.
He began sharing his music online, and that led to an old friend reaching out to collaborate.
Wow.
It wasn't random. It was a direct result of his actions.
It's about understanding that our choices shape our experiences.
Yes.
Okay. And finally, the principle of gender.
Yes.
Gender is in everything. Everything has its masculine and feminine principles.
Right.
So it's important to clarify, this isn't about physical gender.
No, it's not.
Right.
This principle is about the energetic balance in all things.
Okay.
It describes two types of energy, masculine and feminine.
Okay.
Masculine is often associated with action, logic, outward expression, and focused will.
Yeah.
Feminine is linked to receptivity, intuition, nurturing, and the power of attraction.
Gotcha.
Both are essential for creation and balance.
So for manifestation, you need both the desire, the seed of an idea, and then the action to make it happen.
Exactly.
So it's about finding harmony between these two forces.
It is.
What happened with Amelia?
Amelia had a breakthrough when she started balancing her doing with her being.
Okay.
She realized she didn't always have to be striving and pushing.
Yeah.
By creating space to receive and committing to what she wanted, her creative energy blossomed.
Wow.
It was amazing to see.
And Marcus.
Marcus discovered a new balance in his creative process. He allowed himself to receive inspiration, but then also took focused action.
Yeah.
He learned to trust his intuition while also being disciplined.
So this principle helps us find a balanced approach to creation by integrating both active and receptive energies.
Exactly.
Now, as we've been talking about these principles, it seems that the law of attraction fits in with this framework.
It does.
It's not separate from these Hermetic principles.
Not at all. The law of attraction that is deeply connected to these principles.
Right.
You could actually consider it a synthesis
Okay.
of all these laws in action.
Gotcha.
And at its core, the law of attraction is about vibrational alignment.
Okay, can you break that down for me a little bit?
Sure.
How do some of these specific principles relate to the law of attraction?
Let's start with the principle of mentalism, the all is mind.
Okay.
The law of attraction emphasizes that everything begins with our thoughts.
Right.
Our thoughts are the creative force shaping our reality.
Right.
And this mirrors how visualization works.
Yeah.
By focusing our thoughts, we attract desired outcomes.
That makes sense.
Then there's the principle of vibration. Nothing rests, everything vibrates. The law of attraction tells us we attract what resonates with our frequency.
Okay.
So by cultivating positive energy, we attract things on a similar frequency.
Right, so our energy acts as a magnet.
Yes.
What about correspondence?
The principle of correspondence, as above, so below, as within, so without, highlights that our inner world creates our outer reality.
Right.
So the alignment between our internal state and our external circumstances is central to the law of attraction.
That makes sense.
What we believe is what we manifest.
Okay, and then finally, cause and effect.
Cause and effect. Every cause has its effect.
Yeah.
Our thoughts and actions are the causes, and the manifestations are the effects.
Okay.
So intentional thoughts and actions create specific results.
So the law of attraction isn't magic.
No.
It's the outcome of these principles working together.
Yes.
I remember there was a quote that really summed this up.
Oh, yes. The quote, "To change your mood or mental state, change your vibration."
I love that quote.
It illustrates how vibration, influenced by mentalism, impacts our ability to attract through the law of attraction.
So this shifts the focus from wishing to actively engaging with these laws.
Exactly.
So how can our listeners use these laws in their lives?
Well, the first step is recognizing how empowering this knowledge is.
Okay.
You have the power to shape your life.
Okay.
You're not just an observer.
Yeah.
You're an active participant.
Okay.
And understanding polarity and rhythm helps us regulate our emotions. It helps us navigate the ups and downs of life.
Yeah.
Knowing that they're natural, cause and effect, encourages us to take responsibility for our choices.
Right.
It's about moving from unconscious reaction to conscious creation.
Right.
It's about working with these laws,
Right.
not against them. Like Amelia said, I didn't need to bend the world to my will. I just needed to align myself with it.
I love that.
And Marcus realized that these laws aren't rigid rules, but rather rhythms of being.
Right.
His affirmation was, I am always becoming. I am always creating.
That's beautiful.
And now, to help our listeners connect with these laws on a deeper level, we'd like to guide you through a meditation.
I love that.
This is an opportunity to not just understand these concepts, but to really feel them and align yourself with the universe.
Okay, we're going to do a short guided meditation just to kind of immerse ourselves in these principles. So get comfy, close your eyes if you like, and let's just arrive in this moment.
Take a deep breath in, and as you exhale, just let go of any tension in your body. Let yourself become still, present. With each breath, you're grounding yourself in this space of pure potential. Breathe in calm. Breathe out any distractions.
Now picture a soft golden light shining above you. This light, it represents universal wisdom, the source of everything, what the Kybalion calls the all. As you inhale, feel this warm golden light flow down, entering through the top of your head, filling your mind, your heart, every cell of your being. You are safe. You are connected to this infinite source. You are remembering.
Beautiful. Now, gently expand your awareness to the 7 Hermetic Principles. These are the fundamental laws that govern our universe, and they'll appear before you as glowing spheres of light. As you encounter each one, let its essence infuse your understanding.
Okay, first up, the principle of mentalism. The all is mind. A soft violet light emerges. Everything, it all starts with consciousness. You are the thinker behind your reality. Take a moment to really feel the power of your thoughts.
Powerful. Second, the principle of correspondence. As above, so below, as within, so without. A serene, silvery blue light appears. Your inner world, it mirrors your outer world. Cultivate inner harmony and watch it reflect outwards.
Third, the principle of vibration. Nothing rests, everything moves, everything vibrates. A vibrant golden light surrounds you. Everything is energy in constant motion. Your frequency attracts similar frequencies. Feel your energy lifting.
Next, the principle of polarity. Everything is dual, everything has poles, everything has its pair of opposites. A tender pink light glows. Opposites are 2 sides of the same truth. You can choose where on the spectrum you focus. Find your center.
Fifth, the principle of rhythm. Everything flows out and in. Everything has its tides. A flowing indigo light appears. Life moves in cycles. Trust the natural ebb and flow. There's a time for everything.
Trust the flow. Sixth, the principle of cause and effect. Every cause has its effect. Every effect has its cause. A brilliant white light shines. Your intentions and actions create ripples in the universe. You are a powerful creator.
Seventh, the principle of gender. Gender is in everything. Everything has its masculine and feminine principles. A balanced emerald green light envelops you. Within you lies both active and receptive energy. Embrace this inner balance, this wholeness.
Now imagine all 7 spheres of light gently swirling around you, merging, becoming one radiant light. This is the law of attraction, the harmonious interplay of all these principles. It's not separate, but the expression of their perfect alignment. And it responds to your dominant vibration.
Breathe in this unified energy. Breathe out any resistance. And silently affirm, I am a powerful creator. I align with the laws of the universe. I trust in my ability to attract all that serves my highest good.
Now gently bring your awareness back to your body. Feel the ground beneath you. Wiggle your fingers and toes. And whenever you're ready, open your eyes, carrying this feeling of connection and alignment with you. You are a conscious participant in the unfolding of your life.
Welcome back. What really resonated with you in that visualization?
What really strikes me is how it illustrates the interconnectedness of all these ideas. They're not isolated, they're woven together, each one shaping and influencing the others, and they all culminate in what we understand as the law of attraction. It's like a beautiful dance.
Totally. Besides this guided experience, what are some other tangible everyday practices our listeners can begin to incorporate right away?
Well, there are many practical ways to integrate these principles, drawing from the principle of mentalism. Simple practices like starting a daily journal to record your visualizations and consciously choosing positive affirmations to counteract negative thought patterns can be incredibly transformative over time.
Okay.
To align with the principle of correspondence, making a conscious effort to create more harmonious and organized environments in your home and workspace can have a profound impact on your inner state. For the principle of vibration, actively tuning into your own energy through practices like listening to uplifting music, engaging in movement or dance, or spending time immersed in the natural world can help to consistently elevate your frequency.
Yes.
The principle of polarity can be applied in your daily life by consciously reframing challenges you encounter, seeking to understand the lessons embedded within them, and looking for the positive aspects, even in difficult situations.
Okay.
To honor the principle of rhythm, pay closer attention to the natural cycles in your own energy levels and your motivation throughout the day and the month. Learning to work with these natural ebbs and flows rather than resisting them and engaging with the principle of cause and effect means becoming more mindful of setting clear intentions for your day and taking consistent, inspired action towards your goals, understanding that your choices in each moment are shaping your future experiences. And finally, to cultivate balance with the principle of gender, become more aware of when you might be overemphasizing either the active assertive energy or the receptive intuitive energy in your life,
Yeah.
and consciously cultivate the opposite to create greater inner harmony.
Right.
For example, if you tend to be very action-oriented, consciously schedule time for stillness, meditation, and simply being.
Those are all such accessible and actionable steps
Mhm.
that our listeners can start implementing today.
Yeah.
It really brings these seemingly grand universal principles down to earth in a very practical way.
It's about cultivating greater awareness of how we are constantly interacting with these fundamental laws, whether consciously or unconsciously, and then intentionally choosing to align ourselves with them
Yes.
to create a more fulfilling, empowered, and meaningful experience of life.
So as we bring this deep dive to a close, it's clear that gaining an understanding of and consciously applying the laws of the universe, as beautifully illuminated by the Kybalion and through these inspiring stories like Amelia and Marcus, truly empowers each of us as conscious creators of our own reality.
It does.
It shifts us from feeling like passive recipients of circumstance
Right.
to becoming active participants in shaping our lives in alignment with these natural principles.
Exactly.
And as one of the sources we explored so eloquently put it,
Okay.
mastery consists not in abnormal dreams, visions, and fantastic imaginings or living, but in using the higher forces against the lower planes, escaping the pains of the lower planes by vibrating on the higher.
That's a good one.
It's about consciously choosing to elevate our vibration and actively engaging with these powerful underlying principles to navigate life with greater awareness and intention.
That's a wonderful way to summarize our exploration today.
So as you go about the rest of your day, we encourage you to take a moment to reflect on which of these 7 principles resonated most deeply with you.
Okay.
Which one feels like it might hold a key for your next step in conscious creation?
Right.
And as a final thought to ponder, consider this. How might consciously experimenting with just one of these laws for a single week, perhaps focusing intently on the power of your thoughts with the principle of mentalism, or consciously observing the natural cycles of your energy with the principle of rhythm, revealed surprising and insightful shifts in your own experience?
That's a great question to sit with.
Yeah, we highly encourage you to delve further into the wisdom contained with the Kybalion and the broader Hermetic teachings.
Great idea.
Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into the laws of the universe. Until our next exploration, may your vibrations be high and your manifestations be in joyful alignment with your highest intentions.